Welcome, wanderers, to another episode of Echoes from the Loam, with me, Fauna Blakewell. The will-o'-the-wisp, also known as foolish fire, has roots in medieval European folklore, where it was seen as a mischievous light that lured travellers off safe paths into bogs and marshes. But what if there were darker motives? The will-o'-the-wisp is both a literal light and a metaphor for deception, illusion, and unreachable hope. So come with me, take my hand, and don't look at the lights. The fog came early that year. It rolled in low across the Somerset levels, thick as wool and twice as silent. The villagers shuttered their windows, the sheep refused to graze, and even the crows, bold and black-eyed, kept to the trees. Thomas Blythe walked to the marsh alone. 3 nights had passed since Nell vanished. 12 years old, white dress, red ribbon in her hair. Last seen chasing a flicker of light across the fields. They said it was a will-o'-the-wisp, a fairy fire, a trick of the dead. Thomas didn't believe in fairy tales, but the marsh did. It remembered every footstep, every prayer, every child who'd wandered too far. And now it remembered Nell. The sodden soil sucked at his boots with every step. The air smelled of iron and rot. He made his way past the drowned chapel, swallowed by reeds, its bell tower leaning like a drunkard's tooth. And then he saw it. Pale flame, hovering just above the water. No wick, no smoke, just light. It drifted deeper into the fog, and Thomas followed as quickly as he could muster. The light moved like it was breathing, not flickering, not dancing, but inhaling and exhaling, as if the marsh itself had lungs. It hovered just above the water, pale as bone, pulsating with a rhythm that matched Thomas's heartbeat. Still he followed, his pace slower this time. The reeds grew taller here, slick and black, brushing his shoulders like fingers, and the ground softened. Each step sank deeper, his boots filling with cold water. The fog thickened, curling around his face, and then he heard it. A voice, just a whisper, threaded through the fog like silk through skin. She followed. She fell. Thomas froze, still half sinking into the boggy ground. The light ahead paused, hovering above a pool where the water ran dark. Red ribbon floated in the pool, red, frayed, familiar. As Thomas reached for it, the light reverberated violently, turning blue, then green, then black. And what looked like faces rose from the water. Women, perhaps, pale, hollow-eyed. Their mouths were full of milkweed. Their hands reached upward, not to pull him down, but to hold him still, it seemed. Thomas staggered backwards out of reach, and the light circled him as it whispered again. Not yet. It's you. Lieutenants. He dropped the ribbon, and it appeared to float softly back down into the pool. The faces sank, and the light drifted deeper into the marsh. Thomas followed again. The fog thickened until the world became a single shade of grey. Thomas couldn't tell if he was walking or sinking at this point. The ground had just vanished. The air tasted of moss and wet stone. His breath had become shallow, each inhale dragging something cold into his chest. Then he saw movement, Something different. A shape, low to the ground, crawling through the reeds. It moved like a child, but too fast, too smoothly. Its limbs bent wrongly, overextending, and its head lolled sideways, as if it was listening. The shape stopped. It had heard him. It raised its face, its gaze to meet his. It was Nell. Her eyes were black pits. Her skin was slick with marsh water. Her mouth opened, but no sound came, only a stream of soil and water pouring from her lips like blood turned to earth. Thomas tried to speak, to call out, but he couldn't find the words. Nell crawled closer and closer to him. Her hands were raw, fingernails gone, fingers wrapped in torn ribbon. She reached for her brother. "You left me." The voice was hers, no question, but it came from behind him. He turned and no one was there, and when he looked back, the shape was gone, and only the ribbon remained, tied around a clump of reeds, knotted in a way he remembered from childhood. A secret signal that they used in games. "Come find me." As he looked up, he saw the light had returned and was hovering near the ribbon. Thomas stepped forward and the marsh opened. The marsh did not swallow him. It unfolded. The reeds parted like curtains and the water peeled back, revealing a staircase of stone. Thomas stumbled forward, drawn by the light, which now glowed with a deep amber-like flame. He descended carefully, feeling the air change. No longer damp, but dry, bitter. The scent of ash clung to the walls. The light grew brighter, then split into 7 flames, each hovering above a stone basin. Thomas stepped cautiously into the centre, and the flames whispered, "We were daughters. We were offerings. We were betrayed." The vision came not as images, but as a presence. He saw them, 7 women, bound in red ribbon, blindfolded, kneeling in a circle of salt and soil, their hands bound. A man stood before them, Will Croft, younger, smiling. He held a torch. The marsh must be fed. He lit the circle, but the women did not scream, they just burned in silence. The ribbons blackened and the blindfolds melted to their eyes. From the ashes, the lights rose. 7 new wisps, each one carrying a name, a memory, a wound. The flames turned towards Thomas. She was the 8th. She followed. She burns. The ribbon in his hand tightened. It was no longer cloth but skin. The flames encircled Thomas. Their light dimmed, then sharpened, no longer flickering but focused. Each one pulsed with memory, and together they formed a ring around the stone basin. In the centre the air shimmered, and then she appeared. Nell, 12 years old, red ribbon in her hair. Her blindfold was red, her hands bound, her mouth sewn shut. She was kneeling. Thomas tried to speak, but the vision held him still. Nell turned her head just slightly, as if sensing him. And then the ritual began. The marsh above trembled and the soil cracked. the air filled with whispers, names, prayers, regrets. The 7 flames pulsed in rhythm, and Nell began to shake. She did not cry. She did not scream. She chose. One by one, the flames entered into her chest, soft, slow like breath. Her body arched, her ribbon turned black, her blindfold melted into her skin. The flames vanished, and only Nell remained. Eyes open, mouth sealed, skin pale as the fog. She looked at Thomas. I followed. I saw. I became. Thomas fell to his knees. The ribbon in his hand burned. The basin filled with water, and Nell sank beneath it. In the lowlands of Somerset, where the fog clings to the water and the reeds grow taller than men, there is a story the children whisper when the lights return. They say the will-o'-the-wisps were once daughters, 7 women bound and blindfolded, burned in silence by a man who fed the marsh with grief. But there is an 8th now. Her name was Nell, and her brother had followed. They say he walks the marsh still to this day, barefoot, blindfolded, clutching a ribbon that burns but never fades. He does not speak. He does not sleep. He waits. When the fogs roll in and the sheep refuse to graze, they say to remember these 3 rules. Don't follow the lights. Don't speak your name aloud. Don't look at the faces in the pool, because the marsh remembers, and the 9th flame is waiting. And there the tale ends for now, but the echoes will always remain. If you've enjoyed your stay here in my domain, leave your mark, a review, a whisper, a 5-star sigil. Until next time, wanderers, I've been Fauna Blakewell, and you've been changed forever.